think one of the biggest trends that we're facing is the emergence of emerging markets, if you want, or their presence in the future asset allocation of investors, be it on the equity side or on the fixed income side. I think there's a lot of arguments to increase the weight that investors allocate to emerging markets. If you look at the GDP growth, population growth, the level of education, the level of domestic consumption in emerging markets, investors are clearly underinvested in emerging markets. On a fixed income point of view, opportunities for higher yields are obvious compared to what you can find in developed markets these days, in particular with the risk of the normalization of interest rates and in developed markets. I think opportunities are there. There might be volatility for sure, but as a long-term trend and as a long-term I would say asset allocation plan, emerging markets are an obvious area which investors would have to compose with. Absolutely. Clearly, you need to go down the credit spectrum if you want to find higher yields. Potentially down to high yield, maybe secured loans, private lending. People need to widen their universe of instruments they look at in the fixed income world. In many instances, government bonds in Europe in particular offer negative yields or low yields. And if people are looking to, I would say, to get decent return, they have to broaden the scope of the instrument they consider. And clearly we've seen that trends going to investment grade, then to high yield, then to less liquid part of the credit universe. But there is no other choices given what's happening in global interest rates. By conservatively, I would say, maneuvering credit risk and duration risk on behalf of investors. Clearly, as rates start to normalize and move up, you need to be careful in the way you manage your duration. And some of the fixed income benchmarks still have a very high level of duration and will be directly impacted by a rapid increase in interest rates. In credit markets, you need to pay a lot of attention to credit selection and the analysis you do before you invest, because we've seen a significant volatility in some specific names. So it's an area where you need to be extremely careful. But that's the only way where we can add value and protect investors' principle, is to cautiously maneuver between credit and duration to avoid the big volatility spikes we've seen in the last few weeks and few months. We are at heart an active manager, and we want to invest only where we have the highest convictions. We tend not to be benchmark driven, we are benchmark aware, and so we really have a wide range of possibilities to invest in. And we want to find the best credit, find the best possible position on a duration standpoint for our investors. We remain active managers, as I said, only in an area where active management can deliver added value to investors. Investing in a passive way in fixed income today will probably create some disappointment for investors when rates start to shoot up. So you need to maneuver that period very with a lot of caution and forward looking. And for us, as an active manager, we need to take that clearly into account when we manage clients' portfolios.